All right, let's get it going here on a Monday. Welcome into the Blair and Barker Show, Monday, 31st, 20. Why do I have these notes?
Do you have the wrong notes?
Oh, my God.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Is the back leg line coming up?
Can we get those guys to find another studio for their baseball show?
Hold on. Do you have your lineup?
I do.
Oh, okay.
But Jeff Blair didn't take his notes. He left them for me.
Chris Bassett, eh?
Big weekend split for the Jays.
Yeah, I'll take
Season's not over yet.
I'll take it. I went on the
Careful with
weekend.
your
It was
baseball
fun.
talk. Our fans and listeners,
I know.
they can only take a little bit of that.
I would say that it's just 2 wins and 2 losses, and don't look at the box scores.
I got to see Scherzer chuck it. That was cool.
Oh, you got to see the first and last pitches of his Jays career.
Maybe.
There you go. Jays talk.
New segment.
Really close to Jets talk.
Jays talk is a good segment.
Wherever you're watching and listening, live on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus, Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and Jake the Snake Schultz with you for the next 2 hours, where if we look at the standings, the Toronto Maple Leafs in a comfortable position
Is it?
atop the Atlantic Division with just 8 games to go. 3 huge points up on Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. Boys, it's there for the taking.
It sure
That's
is
all
there.
you got for me is
Well, Sam doesn't ever like feeling openly good. That would be against his principles as a Leafs fan.
I think this weekend, sort of, not weekend, but Thursday into Sunday was a pretty perfect microcosm of Leaf fandom in this era.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thrilled.
Where you lose a really, crappy game to the San Jose Sharks. We have to tie it late to even get a point. And then they have a pretty impressive back-to-back against the Kings, who never lose at home. And then they beat the Ducks, who they don't suck as bad as they used to. It's the second half of back-to-back.
Yeah, they still kind of
They don't,
suck a little
They still
bit
suck a
less.
bit.
A bit.
Yeah.
A bit.
but they're not as sucky as they once were. I would say they're heading in a better direction
You
than
can
they
see
have
a future
been.
for them.
Listen,
For
they've
sure.
had top picks.
Yeah.
They've got good players. They're on the cusp of breaking into not only being regular NHL players, but maybe of some of them top players.
I could see them threatening playoffs next year.
Hard to
They
take
make
them
a blast.
serious in those
Orange.
Why do they make them
outfits.
dress like
Those
that?
outfits are hard to take 'em-
Pylons out there.
It's hard to take them serious.
So I thought, as we had mentioned, because we did the show last night against Anaheim, but we did reflect enough on Saturday night versus LA. That was a big test, guys.
Yeah.
Coming off, as Sammy mentioned, a game where, what happened against San Jose? Left a lot of question marks going into the weekend. And 4 out of 4 points when it's all said and done. They got the job done.
They did. And, I don't know where you rank their best games of the season, but I thought that win over LA was in the conversation of their 5-10 best wins, probably 5 best wins.
Oh, top. I can argue it's the best.
Yeah, you liked it.
I
Really?
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
top 3 for sure.
They didn't give up
And I
much.
can give you a strong argument under the circumstances of a horrific night in goal for Joseph Wall and just an inability to look anything like a contender up until the last 5 minutes in San Jose, to go into LA against a team with a top record at home
Yeah.
was a big win.
Top record at home. I think the numbers like them as the best defensive team in the league. So you weren't going to get much of a sniff at 5-on-5, but I thought they still played with them. Their special teams was really good. They got saves when they needed it. There was a lot to like and feel encouraged about, I thought. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, go ahead.
We'll go to Craig Berube on his thoughts Saturday night versus the LA Kings.
Our special teams, PK and power play got us a goal each. That's a difference in the game. I thought it was pretty tight 5-on-5, both ways. And PK did a good job, got a shorty, and our power play came through when we needed them to.
We always forecast towards the playoffs, and we always talk about what the games look like. And that one, to me, looks so much like a lot of those Bruins games they've played in the first round against them, or the Lightning games where it's a 2-1 game, it's a 3-2 game. And just the lack of patience they've had in years past that lead to mistakes and them trying to cheat a little bit. they didn't generate very much, I don't think, for the first 2 periods of that game. And like you said, the Kings do a great job of locking it down. But I thought they were really patient, great defensively. The shot clock was high, but I didn't think it was a ton of quality chances for the Kings. And for them to come out and led the way by the 2 stars, Matthews and Marner, who were quiet for a lot of that game, came out in the third and were both fabulous. That's a playoff type game, playoff type win that you can kind of build on for me.
The juice they get off their specialty teams now is something like, even if they don't necessarily score on the first power play but if they generate energy, it seems to kind of transfer into 5-on-5. And for whatever reason, like they cannot get out of the gate early enough 5-on-5 for me just yet. It may be coming, and maybe the last night where you got 3 goals from 3 different lines might be a start for them, but they Saturday night, like, I don't know, was it 2 4-on-3s, and they had multiple opportunities and they cashed in on it, but I'm not holding my breath that they're going to get those type of looks in the playoffs for me. So 5-on-5, it's got to improve still.
Yeah, for sure. Back to the specialty teams first, I think Berube deserves some credit here for sticking with the 5-forward power play long enough for it to find itself. In the past, there's coaches who are like, we'll put it out there until it does a bad thing, and then we'll go, okay, well, we don't embarrass ourselves. We'll pull it off the rink. He's stuck with it, and I think Mitch Marner has grown increasingly comfortable in that spot. And I think as he's gotten more comfortable moving off the blue line and trusting Nylander to swing up and Austin to swing up. Now it's like
he's more involved. For
it
me,
engages everyone.
At times they don't get him the puck enough sometimes, and then he can get lost. But yeah, it seems like everybody seems to be getting looks and touches right now, and everybody's involved, but that guy has to quarterback it back there.
Yeah.
But even like he does it with his movement sometimes by, you call an exchange as a forward by moving towards someone, saying, I'm coming to your spot, you got to come to mine. So I think he does a good job of that. And 4-on-3, 5-on-3, they're attacking, they're threatening in, and all of a sudden it feels like you have to honor the shot and stop them, and it's opening up seams. So yes, full marks for that. But back to the 5-on-5 thing, they're still not creating a ton. They're still not outplaying teams 5-on-5, but they played a pretty good Kings team, so not a lot of teams outplaying the Kings at 5-on-5.
Still slow starts sometimes for Austin and that line.
Yeah, just that line in general, I don't think has been particularly good, and I think that's why
Was that the Matthews line?
Yeah, I didn't love them against the Sharks. They got caved in pretty good against Celebrini. I thought they were pretty quiet for most of the Kings game until the third period.
Yeah.
They were good against the Ducks. They had a lot of great shifts against the Ducks.
Maybe halfway, the back half of that Kings game, it felt like
but
it was their game.
I think we talked about this on Friday. We didn't talk about this on Friday, but something came out during our show where neither of them practiced after the long game against the Sharks, where they played a bunch of minutes and all this stuff. I think it was talked about a lot, and I didn't love that.
Was
to be
that
honest
25?
Yeah.
Which one?
They both played over 25
against the Sharks.
Yeah, against the Sharks.
Yes.
So they both didn't go to practice the next day. I understand now, whatever. But the optics of your captain and your second best player, or your first best player, however you want to look at it, not going to practice the day after a loss to one of the worst teams in the league, to me doesn't rub the. So you kind of, if you're going to have that treatment, you got to have to come out and kind of put your foot down. And to give them credit, they absolutely did it against the Kings, and they won them the game at the end. So
yeah,
I
got no problem with that.
No?
For me, it's like you were just trying to get everyone. We're done coaching through message sending and morals, and we're just trying to be fresh.
So what you're saying is we're really down to like the big four scoring, or it's kind of over,
Well,
right?
Well, what do you mean?
I'm just saying that, like,
Domi got him a goal yesterday.
no, and it's great, but
Laurent
like,
scored the winner.
will there be some consistency with it? Will there? I saw a power play the other night where they sucked all the 2 minutes up, and Max is feeling it too. And I think, to your point, like there's not going to be many more lessons here. There's not going to be more message sending. No one's getting benched if they make a bad play. It's roll the dice and hope the big boys show up and carry the offense, and you get great goaltending, and some of the guys can bounce one off their ass and occasionally come up with a same recipe, I think, going in.
I don't know that it's different on many other hockey teams, if any other hockey teams. The only thing that I think used to be the case for Toronto was that you didn't trust that you could put the third or fourth line on the ice and win a shift or get a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And Lorentz gets one for them the other night. I feel like Berube trusts his bottom six a bit more, maybe not to score, but trusts putting them on the ice. So maybe that's the start of something where you feel like, okay, these guys aren't going to win me shifts, but if they just don't lose them, we can rest up the big guys for a bit.
And we've got some marquee games coming up for the Leafs, including 2 more against Florida, 1 against Tampa Bay. Columbus will not be an easy task here on Saturday
night against Columbus.
Yeah, after Wednesday's big test.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of meat on the bone here on how you're going to feel about this club.
Still one left against Montreal, who's going to be fighting for their playoff lives. Carolina on the second half of back-to-back on Masters Sunday at 5 o'clock.
And we're working it.
Did anybody look at a calendar? Like
We're
the
going up
schedule
again.
makers, like pick up a calendar.
Masters
Sunday
at 5.
Oh my
Rory's
God.
going to be on 16.
I'm not sure I've ever
Paired
wanted
with
to
Scotty.
watch anything less than that Leafs game. Give me a break.
We could do that panel naked and no one would know. No one would know.
We could do a Masters panel.
Yes.
We could just be like an alternate channel to the Golf Channel.
Ugh,
Provide
Crazy.
analysis.
Crazy.
Anyway.
Crazy. Anyways. But they still, what you're saying is true. They still have some good tests left, but
But today is March 31st. The Leafs play between now and April 8th 2 hockey games. So they have a stretch here where they come home.
Yep.
They can sleep in their own bed. Both
Yep.
those games are at home. This is like a little rest period for the Leafs. Hopefully gear up. It does get busier. 2 back-to-backs in the following week. But, they're going to watch these other teams rack up points. It does seem like at Buffalo versus Detroit to end the season, we're going to need points there.
it's a huge 4 points right there.
And
So-
No time to rest anybody.
well, that's kind of what I'm getting at is like it feels like this thing is going to be pinned down. In the past, we have been critical of, they've been going for personal records or whatever at the end and not just resting guys. They may go all out to get a team like Ottawa who, do you want to go all out and be overexerted, to play a pretty good excited Sens team?
There's no good option.
I
guess
I
cross that bridge
honestly,
when we come to it.
I don't even want to pay any energy towards where they think that they might match up best.
Yep.
The only thing that you could hope for is Florida and Tampa Bay maybe beating the crap out of each other
Yeah.
in
You'd
the
like
first round,
several high ankle sprains,
Yeah.
right?
ideally.
Yep.
And that's it in a nutshell.
So can we just quickly go back to the power play? And, I can't remember a flip in confidence in a power play that I've seen with these. The way they snap it around right now is so impressive and so direct. I'm just hoping and praying that they can keep, is it too early for them to be this hot?
It is. The only reason I'm saying no, it's not too early, is they have tanked around this time in years where they've sucked in the playoffs.
Because it was February of 1 month. I think it was last year where they had the 50% power play. It was the best in
Yeah.
the history of the league. And then they never scored another one for 2 months. Next year, ideally, I'd like them to get hot at the start of April with this
Yeah.
power play. But I'm just really hoping that they can keep this momentum going to the first round because it's unbelievable. It's an actual threat for once. I think it's 3rd in the league since January 1st and 5th overall now. So
I'm just weary of putting too much emphasis on power plays. I get it. They're
for sure,
you
got to play well 5 on 5.
just really hard to come by in a Stanley Cup playoff game. And the calls that we've seen, there's been some atrocious calls lately out of the Leaf game that we've watched. I shake my head at some of the calls now. Matthew Knies for roughing
Oh my God.
last night.
That Anaheim game, I don't
right?
think we've.
What are
was
you
awful.
watching? Who's coming in? Who's the aggressor in that situation? And
Guy comes
why-
to get Knies after a clean hit.
why
Knies
is
stands up
Knies
for
getting
himself.
2 minutes for being too strong?
I think drove me the most mad about that was the ref came from like out of screen and like points over the top, like he was on top of it. And he's like, just one. Looking at that and saying just one, it's just unacceptable. Yeah. Like, it's just, I would be irate.
Totally, yes.
Just one might be a message sending call in the first 5-7 minutes of a hockey game.
Sure.
And that's it.
Take both.
Everything is going to be as equal as it comes, unless it's potentially a scoring play in our dealings of recent history. So it's great that they've got it could win them a game. No question, it could win them a game. But if you're only looking at 2 or 3 and you can go 1 for 2 or 1 for 3, that's great. But hang your hat on that as being the difference maker. No, it has to be on pace of play over 60 minutes, 5-on-5.
The one thing I will say is, in the past, like recent years, there have been a lot, almost as many power play opportunities per game in the playoffs as a regular season. This year in the regular season, power play opportunities are down significantly. Each team averaged 3.02 last year, 3.07 power plays last 2 years. This year it's 2.7.
Really?
So,
That's a big drop.
It is. So every team is, basically every couple games you have one less power play. So in the playoffs as it tightens up, you may be looking at, you might get 2. 2.5, as an average. So, certainly 5-on-5 will be crucial. The Matthews line and the Tavares line have to win their minutes because you don't feel like your third line is going to win your minutes.
I will ask you guys about the third line they put together. Like Nick Robertson, you called it. You said there's just no way that he plays Saturday night.
Yeah.
They put Yarncroc with.
But you think it's too early in terms of gearing up for the playoffs? You still like to see, just in general, I think.
Well, he'll play, I think, but
just in general, because there's Myers out there too, and I'm kind of siding on your side a little bit towards, don't let this guy sit too long.
Yeah, and that's thinking of playoffs. If you lose a couple games in playoffs, you're going to lose a couple games in playoffs. That happens. You're not going to score a bunch, and there's going to be a game where they go, okay, we got to get Robertson in. No one's scoring. We're going to get him in. So he's going to play in playoffs. And then Myers, I think inevitably someone gets hurt or you lose a couple or whatever. He's going to play games. So you don't want to go. I don't know when Myers' last game
it's been a while
played was. It's been a long time. So you just want to keep him up to speed. The treadmill's going pretty fast right now to try to throw him back in.
But what I was going to ask, do you like the look of Lawton, Domi, and Yarncroc as a line? Because I thought it did have a couple moments where it looked like
March 10th.
March 10th. It looked like 3 capable NHLers playing together. That it did give me a bit of hope that it could be a third line for them.
Yarncroc is
he is what he is.
A guy. He is what he is, but he can skate. His pace of play is strong. His he can penalty kill. And he's got, maybe if I'm not mistaken, close to 100 playoff games under his belt.
93.
That is a big number,
2 goals
guys.
I don't know.
I don't think he's paid to score, but occasional one would help this time around. But that's stuff that you have to consider as well. The other thing too, guys, is, and we've agreed on this, is they're going to fit Pacioretty somewhere in. And prior to the Lorentz goal last night, I said, save me that clip on the show because of Holmberg's work down low. Yeah. And I said, this one would be a good one if it ended up in the net, and it did.
Yeah.
But, that's just something that few guys who aren't 200 plus can do.
He's also, we talked about him drawing penalties, so he hangs onto the puck and he draws penalties, and on a fourth line, that's all you're asking him to do. Forecheck, be that guy.
Yeah.
He's very likely in. It's really hard to make a case that Nick Robertson plays game 1.
Yeah.
And I think someone else has to come out if Pacioretty comes in.
Yeah.
Who that is.
Yeah. The only logical one might be Yarncroc or Holmberg. And that's a tough call.
It is a tough call.
It's not Lorentz. Lorentz isn't coming out. You need Kampf. You need Kampf in there as a centerman, as a natural centerman. you can't take him out of the lineup.
Other thing, though, that Yarncroc has is he kills and Holmberg doesn't right now.
Mhm.
So, if that's a guy that you have a little bit more utility for, then Holmberg's in tough too. But I do think they'll use all these guys. And also, what's your level of confidence that Pacioretty can play a 7-game series? He plays a couple of games. He usually needs to take a knee for a minute.
Yeah.
I just think it's get him in there and see if he can physically do what he did earlier on in the season. That was huge.
Yeah.
And I never saw it coming, but I tipped my hat to him on many occasions this season when he pissed people off, man. He was sneaky dirty.
Yeah, if you can get a week of the Rafi Torres version of, of Max Pacioretty that you got at the start of the year, even if you get one series out of it, it's a bonus. So
2 or 3 games might be enough in a series.
Yeah.
One or two.
Yeah.
If they're timed right.
And you'd love it to be game 1. You'd love for him to be in there, and that would be a pretty stout looking. You'd have a third line of Pacioretty, Lawton, and someone else heavy, whoever you like there. If it's Yarncroc or Holmberg or whoever, but it could be a pretty heavy line.
Can I ask you about the Carlo fight on Saturday night?
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I loved it.
Okay.
I thought it was. He took a couple, but he, he smiled in the penalty box, blood on his face.
Oh, we got the tell here.
He pushed forward here. This was not Nashville where he took 3 punches to the chest.
He goes right back and leans in.
He had purpose there. That kid hit him with a couple of uppercuts, but he hung in there, man.
Yeah.
To me, that's tons of respect for Carlo.
It's a good sign. Didn't know he could or would do it, which is, half the battle.
He didn't stop.
Yeah.
I have to say that, as a fan, that really, I can only imagine what that did for his teammates, because as a fan, I'm like, I loved him already. I thought he was really playing well, but that warmed me up even more. I'm just like, I didn't know that he was going to do that.
Well, we've sat here before.
Well, I don't think he knew he was going to do that too, but there was no hesitation. And I think when you're in that position, you got to think quickly, and he didn't hesitate. It wasn't like he spent a quick second going, am I going to do this or I'm not going to do that?
Yeah.
You actually go through a bit of a thought process prior to the game that I'm on a short fuse. If anybody challenges me, I'm not taking any crap, and I'm going right after him.
I wonder if that stems from the McCarron thing, where he was like, I can't do that next time or whatever. I wonder if he had a little talk with
maybe
himself.
Listen to our show.
Maybe he heard me say, don't take those 3 punches in the chest there. Stop at one. And you don't even have to fight like that, but you can certainly cuff a guy back one time.
2 things on that. He saw, was it Malott? He saw that he was a little shorter. Maybe he didn't know that he was a UFC guy's brother.
Didn't know.
He's actually not.
No.
That Malott's 6'5" too.
No, he's a little shorter than.
He admitted after that he did not know.
So I actually loved Berube's.
Brother, he's 6'5", 210.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he looked a little shorter.
Yeah. Well,
Anyways.
Carlos tall.
But you're 6'6". Everybody looks shorter to you.
Well, I'm not standing there staring down the barrel of those punches. It just looked like they was punch uppers. Anyways, I love Berube. He got asked about it after the game. This is an exchange with actually Luke Fox asked him, but clip 5, we could play that.
11 different Leafs have fought for you guys. Drop the gloves.
I'm teaching them a few things.
What do you think it does for the group, though, that you have guys that are willing to do that?
It gets very important that you stand up for yourself, and not everybody. Look, first and foremost, I don't expect people to fight, but stand up for yourself. And the guys do that. We push back, You're not going to get pushed around.
Yeah, I wish 25 years ago I didn't have the pressure to have thought that I needed to fight every time I got into a confrontation.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Today you could look like a hero with
one every 10 games.
Or just getting into being the first aggressive guy into a pile, leading the charge on whatever you need to say to your opponent. There's many ways to Berube's point, that you could look like you're standing up for yourself and your teammates, and you're not taking any crap. I'm not eating a crap sandwich tonight from you, or you. So let's go. And I thought Carlo did that
Yeah.
to the T Saturday night.
That's great. That Jeff Malott, I was looking him up while we're talking about him. He played 9 minutes, 5 minutes, and then that game he played almost 17 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, the coach must have liked the Carlo fight for him.
But he's an older guy too. It's not like he's 21 or 22, isn't he?
Oh, he's 28. That was his fourth NHL game.
Fourth NHL game.
He was looking for one. You know, like that's the point you're trying to make when you're 6'5" and trying to crack
at that
the league.
age. You don't know if that could have been your first and only fight in the NHL. You
Yeah.
don't know. I hope he can turn this into a couple of years, 3 years. But at that age, you're on borrowed time as it is right now. So I hope he can make the most of it. But who knows?
Good on him. Let's listen to Brandon
Oh, yeah,
Carlo and
absolutely.
get his thoughts on the fight there. Carlo clip one.
I don't know. It just happens fast. I was right there in front of the net. He asked if I wanted to go, so I said yes. Good on his part. I think it's good for me too to step up in those ways occasionally. I'm not much of a fighter, but I enjoy doing things for my team. So whatever is needed of me, I will.
Were you aware that his brother is a UFC fighter? Did anyone tell you that?
Not at all, but knowing that information, I'm thankful I'm not knocked out right now. So that's good to know, and I'll definitely do a little bit more research next time.
Carlo sounds like a CEO.
One of the great hockey stories ever told by Colby Armstrong, the Alexander Degg check the game notes.
Check the game notes.
That's a check the game notes right there. Check the game notes. Check the last name. Guy's fourth NHL game looking to fight you. Keep an eye.
No, nobody checks game notes anymore.
Thick
Nobody.
stat pack that just sits there.
Nobody.
Guys check their own points. That's about it.
If he did that a few more times, Carlo, he'd get next level room.
So, just the clip we played from Berube before that about like that we're not going to back down, and 11 different guys have fought this year, and just do you think that's been a noticeable part of this? Because I think that was a huge. Remember with the Keefe, like we always used to have these conversations, like they wouldn't stand up for each other, and like that was a huge narrative that we talked about. Like I feel like that was our first 3 years. It's all we ever
better.
talked about.
It's no question. To your point, it's better.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, they didn't do it enough still to carry any type of real reputation this season.
Not a reputation, no. But before they had a reputation for definitely not doing it.
They had tough nights.
Okay.
They shook
I
a
buy
reputation.
that. I buy that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not as big of a pushover as they have been in the past.
Fair enough. It does bother me, and just this is totally separate, that their fourth line of Holmberg, Camp, Lorentz, where they have no fights, like zero. for
Yeah,
a
that's
big fourth
that's the
line.
nicest group of big
The
guys you could ever
kindest
find.
Fourth
Yeah.
line
Yeah.
in
Like,
hockey.
Lorenz is another guy that
That drives me nuts. That just
he's
once get mad. Come on,
just
love the player.
like he's just generally a very happy
I
person.
love him.
I think
Totally
he's too
would
happy to
my
be a
friend.
Leaf. He's too happy to be a Leaf. He's like, I'm not fighting. I don't want to screw this up.
I would love to see him mad or pissed off
Yeah.
or something. And Knies is coming around, guys. He's the nerd and Spider-Man who just decided like he's just starting to figure out he's got superpowers.
Yeah.
Peter
Parker.
I was going to say
Peter
Clark
Piper
Kent,
picked a peck of-
but Clark Kent's
He's-
Superman,
he's-
right?
He's
Peter
yeah,
Parker.
So glad you
He's
don't know.
now
Yeah.
starting to go,
What a dork.
okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. You can.
You can grow into it. It's
And
great.
I don't know if he'll ever have that.
By the way,
You
he's got
gotta- you
11
gotta-
guys that
you-
fought for the Leafs.
You
I'm looking
gotta
at the
have a bit
lineup.
of a
Ooh.
screw loose to do it, guys. I got to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't like doing it, but felt some obligation. 20 years ago, I feel like you had to do it once in a while. Now you certainly don't have to do it, which is a lot more fun.
I'm trying to find. I saw a list of the guys who did it, but trust me, it's 11.
Okay.
What was it?
Ducks game?
Well, yeah, the Ducks. Just wanted to touch on Knies because you mentioned him there.
Yeah.
I thought he was brilliant last night. Physical, going
Yeah.
to the front of the net, gets the goal taken away. Maybe we'll talk
Walked Strome.
Oh my God. Maybe we'll talk about the high sticks after the break. But
Yeah.
we are kind of bordering on him. Like he's really blossoming. If he improves as much as he improved from last year to this year, from this year to next year, like we're on the precipice of one of the elite power forwards in the game here. Like he is getting
A guy
better,
Leafs
Yeah.
fans have been dying
better,
to have.
better and stronger
yeah.
every game to me.
Yeah.
Well said.
Can he turn himself into a point a game guy?
I
think so.
maybe. I don't know. That
I mean,
seems
he's
like
not
a
far
big
off.
ask.
Was he going to have 50-some
Yeah.
points this year?
55.
Yeah. So if he ends up 75, I mean, is that close enough?
That's
is that,
but that's a big jump.
It is.
That's
Yeah.
a big jump. And can he do it without Marner potentially next year? If it's
him and Matthews seem to have some
yeah,
decent
Matthews
chemistry.
has been a lot better passing the puck too, by the way.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing his work around the net too.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little bit more patient. Sometimes he gets all horny to do a wraparound, and
Maybe look
you
for a
know.
stick in there instead of trying to stuff it through a pad.
sometimes you like the constant wraparounds to me are kind of junior A-ish a little bit, but because they don't necessarily like he's so skilled that 1 out of 10 he could stuff one in.
I like that they create rebounds and chaos.
But-
I like what a wrap creates.
But I like the fact that he's holding on, his head's up now. He's looking for Knies at the right time off a post, or he can send it back to the point. To me, like that will drive his assists up.
Yeah, and postpone possession time to
Yeah.
help them keep the puck down there and tire out the other team's D. Then if they could just change in the O zone once this year, that would really help them.
I don't think that's happened.
No, Willie change going the wrong way every single shift against Anaheim. I mean, I think maybe every single shift.
Wasn't his best game.
No, and
We did a pack on Willie with the bad penalty and the turnover that led to Anaheim's first
Yeah.
goal, and then the change.
Yeah.
I didn't even mention the change last night. I was just like, I didn't want to pile on the guy.
Yeah.
But his change to the bench after he turned the puck over
yeah,
was
turn it over going one
As
on
bad as
4 and
anything.
then saunter to the bench. And yeah, we took some heat from people being like, hard on Willie or whatever. And it's like, we didn't CGI the video.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we showed the video
not- we're-
clips.
He's going to
We're
have off
not-
nights, and you're allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, and he is. That's right.
Did you watch
Not great every
the
night.
the video on him, like to the Willie song? Who was that on the weekend?
What are
No.
you talking about?
Oh, they did a highlight pack of him to the song Willie.
Sing it.
Don't make him
No,
do
don't make me do
Sing it,
that.
buddy. Come on, we want to hear it.
With
the voice of an
Willie,
angel.
it's a 70s song or it's an 80s song on Willie. I'm finding it during
Okay.
this commercial
Okay,
break.
good.
All right,
I
and
have
I'm
no
gonna
idea.
find the lyrics. Sammy,
I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But
do you guys not watch our network?
I
We
was.
did it. Our network did
Our
it.
network did it.
I don't believe you.
I don't.
It was like a 2-minute Willie, I'm great Willie
I don't
song.
think that happened.
But it was like
yeah.
overserved.
Yeah, maybe. Potentially.
Can someone tweet these guys this information for me and do my homework on the commercial break?
I will tell you the 11 Leafs out of 5.
Okay.
Domi.
Yep.
McCabe.
Benoit?
Benoit. Reeves. Riley. I don't remember who did he fight.
Yeah, I remember.
Scott Lawton.
Nice.
Philip Myers. Knies. Holmberg. Carlo. And there's one more, and you guys will never get it.
Matthews?
Nope.
Who?
Ekman Larson.
Connor Dewar.
Oh, the dude.
Remember? Who was it that he scrapped?
Oh yeah, Farabee.
Yeah, and it was like,
Oh,
my
yeah,
God.
and they gave the thumbs up to each
Besties
other
after,
in
yeah.
Oh,
Philly.
yeah, you hated that one too. Yeah, I
It's
remember that.
fine.
No, you didn't like it.
It's fine. It's 2025 now. We all get ribbons now. Sammy.
Well, I'll just sing the Willie song for you.
And to take us out, the Willie.
The Willie song when we return to Real Kipper and Bourne. So the group was sweet. 70s. Remember Ballroom Blitz?
Yes.
What was the movie?
absolutely. Wayne's World.
Thank you.
Ballroom Blitz.
Okay, now you're
Ballroom
now,
Blitz.
all right, but you
I mean,
won't
that's
do
an
Little Willie.
That's an
The same band?
That's an extremely famous song. Little Willie, I've never heard of. Uh-oh. I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
Do we have the rights to this?
I don't think that's allowed, Kipper.
We can't play it.
I don't think so. I don't know, Derek. What do you think? Always put. He said he's going to
Shotgun
call
not
somebody.
I think you're.
We can only pay 10 seconds. So there you go.
Okay, I'll get the best 10 seconds in.
Oh my God.
Okay, ready?
Ready.
Count me down.
Okay. I think time's up.
All right, we're good.
What?
That's perfect. We got the song. It's great. So they did like a montage to that?
You
Yeah.
know, I expected you to like play the song and me be like, "Oh, the Willie song,"
No.
and my reaction still, I got it.
Never heard that one.
Little Willie.
Well, he's Big Willie styles.
Wouldn't know anything about that.
All right. Where do you want to go? Tavares, high stick.
It's the high
Let's
stakes.
do the high stick thing.
It's the high stakes.
Although it'll be a very short conversation, I think, because Kip and I have had this conversation.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The more known as high stick.
I just really wish that we would have kept video review to maybe a puck going in or not.
Mhm.
But it's just spread out to all this stuff. Like the officials there. There's no excuse not to get the call right when you're that
in both
close.
cases, the linesman was
Am
like
I
this.
Am I being unfair?
Staring at it.
Am I being unfair?
No.
To go back to the official and say, if you would have got it right to begin with, we wouldn't have to stop and wait.
But
everybody's watching. And
he also erred on the side of let the play go, and if they challenge it, they can still get this call right instead of just stopping it and killing the rush, getting it wrong that way.
I get the basic principle of the most important thing is getting it right. But there has to be a way of getting it right and not bringing the game to a screeching halt.
Yeah. Turns out there's not.
No, there's not.
I think it's absolutely amazing that on back-to-back nights, those two
Crazy.
well, first of all, that's crazy. But that those two identical plays were different calls. Like, it was the exact same play. The Matthews one
No, Marner's stick was higher than.
No way.
Yeah, it was.
Matthews is 6'4", and he was.
Well, they do use shoulder, though.
It's shoulder.
But his hand was pointing up when it made I'm sorry for hitting my mic
Marner's stick was higher.
So you guys don't think Matthews was a high stick?
Matthews'
I think
hands were so low.
he disguised it better.
Yeah, I think it probably was.
I think I cannot. That's as stunned as I've been sitting on my couch because you usually have a pretty good feel if it's a goalie interference or an offside. This one's a little bit more murky.
Yeah.
But to me, that's as stunned as I've been that they didn't overturn one. I couldn't believe they overturned it. When you're 6'4" and your stick is sticking up like that, and you're looking up at the puck, that to me, spirit of the rule is a high stick all day. So I think they got one right, one wrong. That's my summation of it.
Yeah, that may be the case, but Blue fans are sitting there going, they owed us one.
To me, though, it was called no high stick on the ice. And I do think that the camera angles play a lot of tricks on us. And it's tough to get the perception. And you would think that, the chip and the puck, we could get like a height from the ice, some sort of measurements on this sort of stuff. But
Mitch's stick was stretching up higher than Austin's was.
It was clearer, for sure.
Clear.
Can we just talk about how unbelievable of a play that was by Mitch? With like a high stick.
Which one?
No, like to backhand whack, like out of the air to cycle down below. Like, that's an amazing play.
That was.
He's so close every game to this incredible human highlight reel.
Once in a while, it's out of this world.
It's getting really close.
Who was the one that he kicked it, like the back heel pass to Tavares that he had earlier this year? Like, that's an insane amount of skill to be able to do that, backhanded like that. Anyways, I thought it was a high stick.
He's having a pretty decent year.
Yep. I put a stat in here. Mitch Marner recorded his fourth 90-point season, became the second player in Maple Leaf history to reach the mark in 4 more campaigns, joining Daryl Sittler, who did it 5 times.
David Amber last night wanted to do who's the MVP of the Leafs season, but we didn't get around to it.
I like this one.
Do you?
I do.
You know why we didn't do it? Who
Steelers?
else would you pick?
Outside of goalie comp. Okay, well then we'll do non-goalie comp. No goalie.
Yeah. Not even close, bud.
Still Marner?
Who's your second pick?
I think you can make a conversation for Tavares. I really do.
No.
You can. I think he can be in the conversation. Willie's right there too, but like obviously it's Marner. Outside of goalies, Tanev's in the conversation.
Willie's 11 points, maybe a dozen points behind Mitch.
Yeah, but he has 42 snipes.
A lot of goals.
A lot of goals.
But it's not even close.
It's not. I agree.
It's not even close.
It's not even close.
I think it's close.
But I do value goals.
Value
at a
goals. Mitch kills penalties.
100%.
Okay.
I get it.
Mitch takes all the key defensive zone draws.
Well, he doesn't take them. He's on the ice for them. Tavares takes all the key defensive zone drafts
and
wins them.
But I bet you Mitch has got 50 more faceoffs in his own zone than Tavares.
For sure.
Okay? The first guy over the boards for defensive zone faceoff is Mitch. It's not Tavares. It's not Willie. It's Austin when he's Austin and Mitch.
Yep.
There's no other top 10 scorer that does that more than Marner.
I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Not anybody.
It could be. I mean, it feels like Jack Eichel plays a lot. Is he a top 10 scorer?
I have no idea.
He might be the closest guy.
Feels like Reinhart would do that a lot. Is he a top 10 scorer? Like, there's guys that do.
Not McKinnon, not those guys.
I don't know if it's true or not, so I'm not going to say. Hey, listen,
Buddy,
saying he's the
if I'm
MVP.
telling you it's true.
Are you sure? I don't know.
Well, look it up.
I don't know what do you want me to look up?
Defensive zone face-offs
That's a Borny job because I have no idea how to do that.
for top players.
When you pull up that website, that's like, what is it, money? I'm like, this is the most intimidating thing on earth. I was trained to do
Okay,
this.
just going back. These are the things that aren't as sexy, I think. But, you watch it enough. That's like, it's not even close who Craig Berube's most valuable player is this season.
Sure.
Is that a better way to put it?
I would
You
argue,
would have my vote for sure.
I think that Mitch Marner is the MVP, but I would argue that John Tavares has been incredibly important for the
Yes.
Leafs this year. And I think he's in the conversation. I do.
Yes, for third,
No, I think second.
if you want to go.
I think second.
I have an argument for second.
I mean,
Willie third.
Austin Matthews
Tavares.
has been a shell of himself all year, missed monster amount of the
Yeah.
season. John Tavares played first line center. He's got 35 goals in his 35 season, the last year of his contract. I mean, the amulet man has been unbelievable. He really is. Like, I know we like to not.
He's been as consistent as he's been throughout his whole career.
This-
He's still going to end up a point a game guy like he did the
For sure.
moment he started cooking with the Islanders, which is incredible now because he's 34 years old and he's at the end of his career. That's what's
I just think it's a little bit I'm not going to say disrespectful, but like I don't think we give him the due that he maybe earns on this show. And I'm part of that. And I feel a little bit, but like the season that he's having this year is truly remarkable. And he deserves a ton of credit for having the C stripped off him in training camp, coming out here and being better than he has been even in the years past. Like he's having a better year this season than he has in years past. Willie's been better playing with him. I understand that. But it's been a
top 30
fantastic,
in scoring.
been a fantastic season for Tavares. He deserves a ton of credit. So, anyways.
all right. Let's go to Craig Berube on the former captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Just keeps battling and wins puck battles, that's the biggest thing for me is he wins so many battles with his stick, heavy stick, strong. He's so great and tight around the net, scoring goals. That's where he gets most of his goals. Face-off circle, he's one of the best in the league. Every night he's 50% or better, it seems like. It's all the little things he does that really make him a great player.
To Sam's point, Tavares is second in the NHL in puck battle wins this year, and he's top 10 in face-off percentage.
That's MVP stuff, man.
You just hope that this is the year for him in the playoffs.
For sure.
The one knock against him is never been able to do it in the playoffs throughout his whole career.
Lack of playoff success. Like I think I don't know if, he's not.
Right?
He hasn't gone deep in the playoffs for sure. But he's still scored in the playoffs.
You can still have if he ends up with his 80 points, they don't have playoff success, then where are you on signing him next year and saying, I'm prepared now to go again with Tavares and Matthews as a 1-2 at center ice?
I'm not as bullish on that idea, on doing that. But if he's your third line center and he's making, 5 or less, then I'm into it. But you can't.
Who's your second line centerman?
Well, you'd have to go spend some money.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's out there that can fill that role or make a trade.
That
or
would
what,
be a full power play guy, right?
What's that? This someone that you would get like a
Yeah,
UFA?
a second guy would come in and be a power play guy.
Mm-hmm.
So would Tavares still hold his spot as a top power play guy? Like there's so many.
We're so far down a road.
I'm just saying though, that's the question that you have to ask: is that if you bring him back next year and you don't see him as your second line centerman, where are you on how much you pay him and what kind of role is he going to have?
Am I right in saying you don't see him?
I'm with you.
You don't want him.
I need to see, like, if I'm going to bring him back at $6 million, as many people want to, like, to me, that's a heck of a price for a third line centerman. But if he's scoring 60 points, can he still get 60 points as a third line centerman on the Toronto Maple Leafs?
It's a big ask.
Those are you're on new grounds here.
He's got the most goals of any pending free agent.
Yeah, and he would play on the power play still.
Like, is it? is this not kind of feeling like a Stamkos situation where we still like you, but we just can't show that we can win
Well,
right
they
now?
won with Stamkos, so like it's a different. I would say it's
But today, Sam, not yesterday.
Yeah, for sure.
Not years ago. We're
For sure.
talking about today. They made the hard decision on Stamkos that we cannot. We need to freshen this thing up. We need new blood. We went and got Gensel.
You know what would be interesting is if the Leafs, I don't know if they don't sign Marner, they don't sign Tavares, but for some reason they've got this glut of salary cap money to spend, and we know they're a cap team, is if they didn't go out and just blow it on the most expensive UFA and went into the season and said, let's see what shakes free over the course of the year. People get grumpy. All of a sudden Miller wants to go or Rantanen's available or later in the season. You don't have to spend to the cap for game one.
But here's where I'll give full kudos to
interesting.
Tavares is that you could end up being the New York Rangers and the Vancouver Canucks on the brinks of missing the playoffs. Like Tavares helps you get to the playoffs.
Yeah, that matters too.
Whatever the case is, you can't argue over the last 7 years, Tavares didn't do his part to help you get in the playoffs. Can he help you win in the playoffs? Can he help you win a Stanley Cup? That part's unknown still, and he'll get another crack this spring.
Yeah.
But you can't underestimate that a John Tavares gets you in a very difficult
Yeah.
16-team league for playoffs.
Yeah. I long maintained the biggest what if in the Leafs core four era is Tavares gets brained in game one by Corey Perry against Montreal. They end up losing by a goal in game 7. They win that Montreal series. It was the Canadian year, right? The Canadian division. Like
They
They
go
get
on
a
the
power play goal. They get a save.
Exactly.
They get this. They get
you
that.
know,
but
like
losing-
one guy away or
losing him in that
Monster.
point of the series. That was the first game, the first 10 minutes, and they still won 3 games in the series, and they probably win one more if he's in the lineup. You'd like to
you
imagine.
Sure think so, but anyway.
You'd like to imagine. Ugh.
But
Now I'm just sad.
Tavares can help you. And that's why if Tavares had the attitude that I'm going to go out there this summer and I'm going to make the most money and I'm going to put my services up for sale over 32 teams, someone's willing to pay him 7, maybe even 8.
Yeah. So
For
that
Like
sure.
they paid
Stamkos
like they
contract.
paid Stamkos.
it
course.
totally depends
Right?
what he
'Cause
wants to do.
He can help me get in,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he ain't going anywhere.
I don't know what his career earnings are. I can look that up pretty quick here, but he's made a lot of money, is my point.
90,
I can,
a hun.
I can
More.
tell you pretty quick here.
Definitely more.
He's
than
made $103,064,299.
How much do the Leafs want to discount him?
How much do they want to ask him to take off?
Yeah, if they're
Yeah.
going to keep him around in a bottom 6 forward scenario.
Yeah.
But why is he going to be in the bottom 6? Like, if he comes back, I mean, he's better than, like, what other options are they going to have?
The idea is you have to be better too. You can't
Like,
have a
you
second
can't
line
pay
center who
just
can't drive play.
You just can't keep going to the well,
I get it.
Sammy.
But who are, like, I mean,
That's your job.
Sam Bennett's not walking through that door here. Like, he's
or,
going to.
or you make Sam Bennett walk through the door. You make somebody.
We all
Sam.
know he's signing in Florida for
Sam,
8 times 8.
I'd rather you overpay Sam
You
Bennett.
just can't keep going to the well,
I know.
That's
I get
all.
it. I get it.
and that's why you're not as bullish as probably a lot of people, because it's okay. You can still be a 35 goal scorer. You can still have a great season, but it's just not the right fit any longer.
And I'm not totally against what you guys are saying either. I understand that perspective, but it just gets a little scary if it's no Marner or Tavares. It's like, where's that
I know.
150 points of production coming from?
Absolutely.
Anyways.
Someone's got to shoot it in.
And all of a sudden, making the playoffs is a huge accomplishment.
100%.
Right?
Ooh, yeah, then
Got to
you're,
shoot it in the net.
then you're the Habs all of a sudden trying to make it.
All right.
Good hour, boys.
Good hour, Sammy. You're calling me out on my stats. I need my analytics guy to back me up here.
Yeah, Derek was giving me some stuff in my ear, but I was
Oh, boy.
unfocused. So I'll see
Usually
what I
it's
can
the other way around. All right, Eddie Strickland next. We go national on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. All right, let's take it up a notch on the National Hour. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne. Sammy McKee, who's right on the ball today with our jersey changing hour.
What do we got here?
Oh, turn your mic. Turn your mic. Oh, there you go. Yeah,
What do
your
we
mic.
got here, Kip?
Well, first of all, a big shout out to Aaron Downey, former Stanley Cup champion,
Yes.
former NHL player. who is well aware that we cry for jerseys on this show.
We're desperate.
We are desperate. And didn't have to be an NHL jersey, I told him.
No.
So this is what we've got. We have got
Honeywood Hurricanes.
the Honeywood Hurricanes.
Love it.
Which, by the way, is involved in a fundraiser called Craft Hockeyville.
Oh, nice.
So,
Oh, no. Are we
You
tipping the
can-
scales here?
well, I don't know if we're
I didn't mean
tipping
to
the
do that.
scales. Like, anybody can send us anything. Right?
I am concerned about the precedent. Like I wear anything, we put up anything. Like, where does this stop? I'll literally wear anything.
I've got some standards.
This is a very small town with a very big heart,
Beautiful town up near Collingwood.
right?
Yep. Driven through
So-
it many times.
This is some of the information that I've got. One of the coldest rinks out there with the best fries.
No, that's not true.
Shout out
Yeah.
to Armstrong, BC.
There's no
Right.
Cold rink.
no better fries in the Halo
Half
Innovation.
their minor hockey registration is girls,
Okay.
Cool.
yet the girls have to change in the storage closet.
Not cool.
Not cool.
Not cool.
Okay.
So a big win in Hockeyville
Okay.
would get them bigger
Oh,
change
no.
rooms, washroom
I-
updates.
This is like it's inside. I don't know if we can do
Is
this.
this insider trade?
Right?
I don't know. If we can do
We're just saying. We're just saying.
Just
And-
telling you the facts.
I'm just giving you the facts.
Yeah.
And anyone else in Hockeyville who's entered this contest, feel free next season.
Not telling you what he knows. He's just telling you what he's heard about
Send us a
Honeywood.
jersey next season. We're happy to plug you.
Okay. Just got to quibble with him. There's no chance that rink has the best fries in the world.
Where are you
Owen
going,
Sound
Owen
has
Sound?
the best fries. Best rink fries by far.
But
Best fries in the O. Best fries. Period.
not when you're losing in a series.
What do you mean? Oh, come on.
Oh, the
yeah.
attack or the
You mean the best team in the country versus the youngest team in the country?
Yes.
First round?
Yes.
I don't
the
want
attacker young, eh?
I don't
wanna
even
get
have
into
to have a winning hockey club to
Buddy, they
have
battled back.
great
They were
fries.
down 4-0, battled back to
What's
make
the
it
series
4-3.
at, Sammy?
2-zip London. I don't want to get into it, but I will. Went there, had a blast. Really had a good time. So many people came up to me and loved the show, specifically Kyper, because
Yeah, for
Kyper
sure.
is affiliated with, with Dale.
Dale's
Dale Hunter.
like-
He's like a friend of.
He was not even an older brother to some of us in Washington when they broke into the league. He was like a dad.
Yeah.
So the fact that you know him, they're like, oh, he's tight with Dale. He loved Dale. I'm like, oh, enough about Dale. Oh my god.
Dale.
Anyways, unbelievable building, NHL atmosphere, but they're fans crying over every call. Ref, you suck.
Cut it out, Sam.
Oh, you got 8 first
You're on
round
the
picks.
road building.
You got-
Sorry, they're cheering for
You
their
got
team.
8 first round picks on your team. You need the stripes to give you against the worst team in the league. Like, give me a bunch
You
of
know what all
entitled
this is, eh?
fans.
It's-
Oh my
it's a-
god.
It's a warm up when things go bad for the Leafs.
This
No.
is practice.
This is
No,
practice
listen.
for him.
Unbelievable.
He's on the
fans.
range right now,
Wouldn't say-
metaphorically speaking.
Wouldn't say I loved Cowan's game. We can
Oh,
talk
no.
about that maybe tomorrow more
Oh,
in the
okay.
Leafs
All right.
hour. But
Give us your
Sam Dickinson
scouting.
though, Sam Dickinson, Sharks fans, if you're listening, that
They're not.
stud, best player on the ice.
Any St. Louis Blues prospects? Because
I
They're
don't know.
tearing it up.
They have every prospect.
they're
so maybe
tearing it up right now. Andy Strickland, co-host of the Cam and Strick show, will join us in a few minutes to say, okay, what is going on in St. Louis? Could it possibly be another year like it was when they won the Cup in 2019?
They're not even with Parayko right now. Parayko was unbelievable and then was hurt, but they should get him back here.
it feels like 2019. It's eerily similar.
You know what? I was like, yeah, but their roster's not. And then you go look at their D, and it's like, God, Parayko and Cam Fowler and Justin Falk's pretty good.
Yeah.
You go through it, and it's like, God, that's a pretty good team.
Yeah.
Not sure why.
How many teams right now could have used a Cam Fowler?
The Cam Fowler thing seems like a sneaky pickup.
Right?
Yeah, Ryan Suter. Yeah.
And you were
Philip
wondering if-
Broberg, too, on D.
You were wondering at the time if this team's in this rebuild. Okay, what do they need Cam for?
Yeah. Well, this is it. It's like they're still trying to remain competitive. He should be good for a couple years yet. Neighbors Thomas Buchnevich, pretty good. Holloway's having a great year with Braden Shen, Jordan Kyrou. Bolduc is having a... And then they got Jimmy Snuggerud.
Jimmy Snuggerud, not to mention
Snugs.
who's coming in. 40 games, 51 points for the University of Minnesota. On fire for them. World junior stud. They have a
Let's go
bunch
for
of
him.
guys. It's just... Turns out Doug Armstrong might be pretty good at this.
This guy's kind of doing a decent job.
Okay,
keeping that
and it's
team
just...
relevant.
It's like there's like 3 home runs he's hit this year. 3, including a coach, right?
Yeah.
An offseason signing. Andy Strickland. Does he get credited for Andy being a big star now for the St. Louis Blues? Let's welcome him in right now.
There he is.
Hottest team in hockey right now. Hottest broadcaster in hockey right now, Andy Strickland. He had to come on the Real Kyper and Bourne show right now. Right? Prime time, 5 p.m., national show. Tell us how great St. Louis is.
Hey.
I'll just shut up now.
What do you want to know? You guys covered it.
Okay. Okay, I want to ask you,
on fire.
like, how big is Doug Armstrong's head right now?
He should be walking around, strutting around. He should be very, very confident. I mean, I see him doing more interviews right now too. So he's answering a lot of questions, and he deserves all the accolades he's getting. I mean, just the Broberg and Holloway offer sheets alone. And I do hear a lot of people out there saying, "Hey, are we going to see more offer sheets? How can you not do offer sheets?" I mean, listen, not every offer sheet's going to work out the way this one has. I mean, I give Darren Ferris a lot of credit too, the agent for Broberg, who roped in Dylan Holloway when he was talking with Doug Armstrong, because he looked around the league and he said, "Hey, who could use a left shot defenseman? Who's got cap space?" He started having conversations with Doug Armstrong, and he said, "Hey, listen, I think we can get Dylan Holloway too." It just so happened Holloway's agent was being mentored by Darren Ferris. He doesn't have very many clients. I think only Holloway, to be honest with you. And they brought Holloway in, and they got the old 2-for-1 special. But the Cam Fowler one, I agree with you, especially with Parayko out the last several games. I mean, to bring in a guy that's played 1,000 games, he's under contract next season. You saw what he did in the Winter Classic. Look how experienced the Blues back end is with Falk, who's approaching 1,000. Ryan Suter, who's played over 1,500 games. Broberg went down early in the year. This guy played big-time minutes for like 12 games when he was out of the lineup. So I don't know where they'd be without him. Nick Leddy's played over 1,000 games. So Parayko's played a ton of games. Who's about to come back. I think he's been given the thumbs up to return. I don't know if he feels quite confident yet to get back in there, but he's going to be back at some point between now and the road trip coming up after this 3-game homestand. He's going to come back before the playoffs and get a couple of games in, which is going to be huge for this team.
So let me get this straight. What you're telling us is Doug Armstrong is riding the coattails of Darren Ferris offer sheet. That's what you're telling us.
I will tell you that Darren Ferris, I think he may have approached a number of teams, including St. Louis, about this idea that, hey, I think you could get this done. Doug Armstrong downplays the whole relationship with Kenny Holland because he's got a great relationship with Kenny Holland. But, Doug is smart too. I think they looked around the league, and you're always scanning rosters to say, hey, who could I go out and pluck from X team? But the fact that we don't see that many offer sheets, I don't know. I know Darren Ferris and Doug Armstrong had a number of conversations, and Ferris was very aggressive in making this happen.
I think it worked out for everybody,
Is this
except
not,
Edmonton.
Is this not something, though, that you would think more agents would do with their RFAs? So not necessarily other GMs.
I
but
think they try.
Go on other teams and say, hey, my guy's pretty good.
Yeah.
Can you give him a contract?
Agents do it. I think the agents are the one that drive the bus when it comes to the offer sheets. I mean, not every general manager knows exactly what's going on with that particular team and that player. I mean, in the case of Broberg, I think he was looking to get out of there, to be honest with you. I mean, it's funny. I was talking to him and Holloway recently after Holloway assisted on Broberg's overtime winner against Vancouver. I mean, they would never see the ice in 3-on-3 hockey in Edmonton. Holloway wouldn't be a second-line left winger in Edmonton right now. I doubt he'd be in their top 6. He's a top 6 player right now for St. Louis. He's got unreal chemistry. He's got north of 60 points. Great chemistry with Jordan Kyrou. Braden Shen's been unbelievable with those 2 young guys. So, it's worked out for those guys for sure. But if I was a player, and Kyper, Bourne, you said you guys can speak to this. If I had an agent, I'd want him working behind the scenes, trying to get me the most money and put me in the best situation where I'm going to be able to play and have a significant role. I mean, he's done that. These 2 guys are going to be core players for this organization for several years. And Kevin Lowe, I was talking to him recently about this topic. Now, he says he doesn't think it hurts Edmonton as much now and maybe into next year, but it's really going to hurt them, when they're 26, 27, 28 down the road. I think it hurts them now too. They could certainly use a Broberg and a Holloway in that roster, compared to some of the moves that they made in the offseason. But rarely does it always work this way where it's in your favor, because I don't think teams truly know players as well as their own organization. Usually your own players certainly better than a team on the outside would, but we're talking about two guys that were drafted higher in the first round in recent years. So their scouting staff had scouted both these guys heavily. They knew them.
You're watching and listening to Andy Strickland, co-host of Cam and Strick, ringside reporter for FanDuel Sports Network, covering the St. Louis Blues. So, Andy, let me ask you in terms of, the magic moment, whatever you want to call it. When did the St. Louis Blues, and it wasn't the offer sheet because they got off to a poor start and they were on the outside looking in with those two guys. So where was that moment they went from, let's kind of not blow this thing up, but let's rebuild, to Stanley Cup contender? Was it Binnington after Four Nations? Was it not trading their captain, Braden Shen? Like, where did you see this switch?
Well, after the Four Nations, for sure. I mean, let's go to Jim Montgomery, because he didn't have a training camp with this team. It's been a whirlwind for him, too, being fired one day by Boston and essentially hired by St. Louis the next. I think the Four Nations break allowed him to truly sit back and evaluate who he has, who he wants to play with who, get his coaching staff all on the same page, and then come back and have a couple hard practices, which turned into kind of a mini training camp. And you combine that with Jordan Binnington going to the Four Nations and coming back with the most confidence that he's had in quite some time. And he could be a real dangerous player when he's playing with an elite level of confidence, just based on how he's wired. You had Dylan Holloway primarily playing on the third line. They moved him up to the second line. That was Steve Ott's recommendation, because he saw Holloway and Kypreos spending a lot of time together in the weight room. Both these guys are working on different things. After every single practice, they get together and they work on a number of different skills, edge work, one-timers, shooting off at different angles. I mean, they're both students of the game, and they started to develop really good chemistry away from the games, and I think putting them together has been huge for this team. I think getting Broberg healthy and getting him play like the way that he did in the first 5 or 6 games of the season, this guy's averaging more than 2 minutes, I think, per game since Parayko went down with his injury. Mm-hmm. So he's now getting those matchups against the other team's best players, and he's excelled, and he's back to playing at a real high level. So I think when you combine all those things along with the goaltending, I got to talk about Joel Hofer too, because, he's you look at his path to getting to the National Hockey League and winning a gold medal with Team Canada and the World Juniors and whatnot. This guy, as a young professional, took Springfield to the American League final. And he was out playing, Charlie Lindgren, who was his goaltending partner, in Springfield at the time. So he's got a bright future. They think he truly has number one goaltending, potential in the very near future. So, and let me just say this real quick too, getting their top two lines playing well at the same time. There were stints during the season where Robert Thomas's line was playing at a high level, but maybe Shen's line wasn't. Now you have both lines scoring a ton. Robert Thomas is playing some of the best hockey, if not the best hockey he's ever played. This guy will be a lock, in my opinion, for Team Canada and the Olympics. All you Canadians out there, I'm throwing that out there right now. I said it about Parayko before. People didn't believe me. Robert Thomas should be on that team, and I think there's a good chance that he will be. They've got a fourth line with Radek Faksa, who came over from Dallas, along with Nathan Walker, who's among the league leaders in hits. He brings that physicality. Toropchenko is a big body. This Zachary Bolduc, who was a first-round pick a few years back, played for Patrick Waugh in the Quebec League, a former 50-goal scorer, won a Memorial Cup. He had no goals on the season, 0, when Jim Montgomery took over. Now he's got 16. I think he leads all rookies in goal scoring and plus-minus since the Four Nations. So he's been on fire. That's why the Blues have won as many games as they have since the Four Nations.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. It's funny, we had Army on when he was fresh off the surface of the sun, and he was telling us that Robert Thomas was, basically a lock for Team Canada. He didn't say it like with the word lock, but he certainly implied that too. Adding to that mix now, Jimmy Snuggerud coming from Minnesota. I saw a couple quotes from him today. One of them, they asked him like why he chose what number, and he basically said, "Doesn't matter. I'm here for the front of the jersey, not the back." And asked him, why he wanted to play in the NHL, and he was like, "To win. I want to be a part of winning," and they're winning. So tell us about this edition and what the expectations for him are.
Yeah, and sorry, my phone just went down. But I had a chance to sit down with him. It'll be on our pregame show tomorrow, and interviewed him a couple of times over the course of the last few years since he came into the organization, and he's a guy who just brings probably the best one-timer for a right shot since David Perron, and kind of reminds me a little bit of Mike Hoffman, who was a left shot, who played here the year after the COVID season. And just in terms of his ability to one-time the puck and score from the outside. I mean, if you watch this guy shoot the puck and watch him in the World Juniors, he brings that to the table. But he's going to play tomorrow night, and he's going to get a nice opportunity to be on the power play too, which, they've got two units, and they've got them separated. You can't really identify who's the number one unit. I guess it depends who's on the ice when the penalty is called, who's tired, and who's fresh, and that's how they make the decision. But he's going to be in the bumper, which is a little unusual for him. Normally he's, lined up as a one-timer guy. So he'll eventually get there. But, it's interesting about the number. He wore number 81 in all the development camps. He wore 81 in the World Juniors. He wore 81 for Minnesota. And guess who took 81 when he got here? But Dylan Holloway. That's who took 81.
Oh, yeah.
That's Dylan Holloway's number now. So they gave him a bunch of options, and he went with 21. But he's got some real ability. Dalibor Dvorsky, who was a 10th overall pick a year later in 2023, he's up with the big club right now. He played a game last week or 4 or 5 games ago, whatever it was. And we'll see when he gets back in the lineup. And we'll see what the future is for Snuggerud from here moving forward. They got a good thing going. I know they want to get him in the lineup. They're taking Matthew Joseph out, who has played his best hockey since coming to St. Louis as of late. So this is a one-game situation. If he plays well and earns another game, then he's going to play. But I'm not so sure what the plan is in terms of how much action he'll see down the stretch here.
Two of our markets, Vancouver and Calgary, are
not enjoying this.
Not very happy right now with the St. Louis Blues here. And just in terms of how high their ceiling is, and where is Minnesota, in your opinion, in all of this now?
Well, Edmonton's not happy. So half of Canada. Okay, they're not happy either. Edmonton, Vancouver, Calgary. Nobody's happy with St. Louis. I hope you're happy, Toronto. Montreal is not happy. They just got pummeled 6-1 here in St. Louis a couple of games ago. So, but I think just based on the trends of how both teams are playing, there's a decent chance St. Louis passes Minnesota and ends up playing Vegas in the first round. I'm not so sure Winnipeg wants to see St. Louis anyway. I know they're a confident team, but, Binnington has kind of had his way with Hellebuck in, when they faced each other going back to 2019 in the first round, then the Four Nations Championship game. So maybe he's in Hellebuck's head a little bit right now. Minnesota's going to be a little bit of a different story when they get a couple of their big dogs back. With Kaprizov, being down and being hurt, that can really impact a team, especially like Minnesota. They're not super deep offensively. He's such a big part of their team. He truly drives that team in terms of the pace they play with, how much, just his ability to possess the puck and hang on to it, create plays, produce offense. I mean, he had missed like 20 games. He was still like leading their team in scoring, a few weeks ago, and he's missed a good amount of time. So they want to get him back and hopefully catch up. They've got that Z Bulliam kid who plays for Denver University. He's now coming to the Frozen Four here in St. Louis. He could have a similar impact to Brock Faber, the impact that he had when he joined that roster too. So they got some good players coming. But I think St. Louis, just based on the confidence they're playing with, I don't think it'll surprise anybody to see them pass Minnesota and see Minnesota end up playing Winnipeg in the first round.
So the Jim Montgomery effect here, what is it that's really changed? Is it systems? Is it just mentality? Is it player usage? What's changing?
Well, they look quicker. Yeah. From a structure standpoint, they hardly give up anything defensively. They're among the league leaders in shots against since the Four Nations. They lead the NHL in rush chances against over the course of the last several games. I saw a stat last night. Mike Kelly had a stat out that said something about that. So we'll trust his analytics.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Nobody's double checking, but we're all going to believe it, but it looks like you look at the Blues in terms of, the games that they play, they hardly give up anything in terms of odd man rushes. Rarely do they give up a breakaway. They gave up one to McKinnon the other day against Colorado. He hit the post and didn't score. But I think just making some of those moves where, moving Holloway up, separating Kyrou from Thomas, giving them a little more balance, really having each line play with an identity and having a role on the team. I mean, this third line has a role, and now they're scoring too, with Bolduc being as hot as he's been. So I just think that their penalty kill has improved drastically. Their power play since the Four Nations has been hovering around the top 5. I think they're 6th or 7th in the league right now since the Four Nations. So special teams wise, they've been playing at a real high level, and they're getting great goaltending. I mean, elite level goaltending. Look at Binnington's numbers and Hofer's numbers since the Four Nations. They've been unbelievable. You get great goaltending, obviously you're going to have a chance.
One more for me, Andy, and that's just in terms of the Ovechkin watch against Gretzky, a one-time St. Louis Blue. I mean, maybe 8 or 9 goals of that number belongs as a Blue, but the attention that it's getting down there, or the talk of it, they've seen their share of great goal scoring out of Brett Hull. But what's the vibe down there over it?
I think people are excited. I think they'll be locked in. Especially now that he's gotten as close as he is. People want to see history. I think whenever a great talent, a generational talent, has a chance to make history, I think you get locked in. St. Louis sports fans went through that several years ago with Mark McGuire chasing Roger Maris for the home run chase, and we saw how that captivated the country and how everyone got so into it, even though a few years later, I mean, everyone's talking about the steroids and all that, but still at the time, that's a moment that you'll never forget. So I hope they're enjoying that in a similar fashion in Washington, and I'm pretty sure that they are. But if you're a hockey fan, how can you not enjoy it? I think this is absolutely incredible to see what he's doing and what he continues to do at an advanced age, how he's doing it, the level that he's still, able to play at is incredible. I know he's 40 years of age, and I know he's not in his prime, but what is he in? If it's not his prime, he scored 40 goals. Who's not in your prime when you score 40? I understand that his prime was 50 and 60, but it's not like he's totally dropped off. This guy's scoring 40 goals in the NHL at close to 40 years of age. So when would the drop-off be? I mean, if he comes back and plays next year, say he doesn't break the record and comes back, or does break the record and decides to come back, what's he going to score next year? I mean, what's the ceiling for this guy? This guy can play as long as he wants. And as long as he can shoot the puck and get open and they get him the puck, he's going to continue to score. So, but the fans are getting into it. And real quick before I get out of here, guys, because you're in Toronto and we all know everything goes through Toronto. So whatever you say, obviously creates all the headlines. But I'm curious if you think that Jim Montgomery belongs to be in the Jack Adams conversation. If, in fact, they get into the playoffs, should he be in the Jack Adams conversation if they get in the playoffs?
I don't think he can take it away from Carberry, but yes, in the conversation, yes. Yeah.
Top 3.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Carberry 100% deserves it, and he's earned it. Doug Armstrong obviously belongs, in the conversation for executive of the year. Who's had a better year than him? There's been some other GMs that have had great years.
Darren Ferris, apparently.
Hey, that was all Army. That was all Army. Darren Ferris coming together. I'm not taking it away from Army. Are you kidding me?
No, we can't do that.
No, it is funny, though. Like 2 weeks ago, it was like, if St. Louis gets in, then maybe Montgomery could be in that conversation. And now it's like, yeah, okay, they're in, and they could finish in, not just in the last wild card spot. So, yeah, that would definitely change the conversation for Montgomery.
Andy, great stuff as always, man. Thanks for making time for us. Always welcome on this show. Great stuff.
Appreciate it as always. You guys are the best. Take
Appreciate
care.
you, man. Thanks so
Andy
much.
Strickland, co-host of Cam and Strick, does a great job. Great job covering the St. Louis Blues for FanDuel Sports Network.
Yes, sir.
I got to tell you, I love the St. Louis Blues roster. I love just what they represent, but I hate that it came at a cost of our Canucks and the Flames.
Yeah, it's
You
not
know?
ideal.
It's not how I wanted it to go.
Bill Guerin, don't listen. Would have been nice if Minnesota just
Bad.
focused on their
Truly-
laces.
You got to keep up the relationship with Bill Guerin, but
I truly wonder how close
not my guy.
Doug Armstrong was to like moving a couple of his key pieces, including
Braden Chen.
Shen. And the Leafs apparently were all over him until they said no. But hindsight's 2020. But like, who would have known that they were going to be able to turn this thing around?
And now, Winnipeg's been the best team that probably win the President's Trophy. You hope that St. Louis gets up into the top wild card spot and you get Minnesota. You deserve that. But you don't deserve a red hot St. Louis who's, with a goalie who's in your goalie's kitchen. So, anyway.
And Shen's been pretty good over the last little bit here. Like, I think he's got maybe, 4 points in his last 5 games. Plays, around 19, 17, 17, 18. Like, he plays.
Yes, he's a big
Important
part of what
guy.
they're doing, no doubt.
Wouldn't have hurt.
No,
The
he
Leafs.
would have helped, actually.
Wouldn't have hurt. Game time?
Game time.
All right. It's game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. I know you guys watched the NCAA basketball tournament over the weekend, but we have a chalky final. All 4 1 seeds make it to the final 4. Florida, Auburn, Houston, and Duke. And if you go to the favorite, I think is, as I quickly pull this up here, the favorite to win it all now is Duke at plus 100, my Florida Gators plus 280, Houston plus 450, and Auburn plus 500. You talk about how you want Cinderellas, but you get to this point and it's all the 1 seeds and you're in for a pretty good rest of the tournament.
Should be pretty
So
fun.
it's going to be pretty exciting for that. So we've been updating you throughout the tournament on that stuff. Tonight, a little bit of a lighter night on the ice. I wouldn't say a ton of huge playoff implications in a lot of the games tonight. Colorado hosting the Flames. The Flames are still fighting for their lives. I guess it's big for them, but the Blues have really put a hurt on their chances. They're big underdogs. Hey now,
What a turn of phrase that is.
going blue. They're underdogs in Colorado tonight, as you would imagine. Colorado's minus 280 on the money line. Calgary plus 230.
If you're
in
Calgary,
tough.
that you're looking at your schedule and you're going, we need a couple of tough games here
Yes.
to go right. We need to beat Colorado.
Yeah, and
Because then you get some. They have Anaheim twice and San Jose twice in their final 10.
And I'm sure we'll talk about it after the break when we get into our news and notes, but I've just been so impressed with Nazem Kadri over this past stretch. He's been brilliant for them. Him and Huberdeau have both been excellent.
Yeah.
The Devils, they're hosting the Minnesota Wild tonight. Big favorites on home ice, minus 155. Don't mind a little look at the Minnesota Wild on that, plus 130 on the other side of that. The other 2 games, Flyers and Preds, bit of a bowl there. And the Seattle Kraken are taking on the Dallas Stars later on. And that was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. It's 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay, we'll take a quick break. When we return, a little bit more of Ovi coming within 5 goals of Gretzky's record.
5.
Plus, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the
Politics?
access. No. The access behind the scenes, particularly with general managers.
Yeah, I want to have this conversation
Because, like, the stuff that's being put out right now, I don't know. I mean, I don't get it, but
It
maybe
does-
you can explain it to me
We'll talk.
after the break.
We'll talk.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
Because I don't like what I'm saying.
Also, Sid's still so awesome. I don't want.
And Sid
I don't-
for
I-
Sammy.
Well, I don't like. We're doing all this Ovi
10th
talk,
in the
and our
NHL
great
in
Canadian
scoring.
heroes punching guys in the face, scoring OT winners. So just want to remember how great he is too.
I'm in on
Still more on the bone on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Welcome back to the program. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne. I forgot your last name.
You know what's funny? And is every time we do our show at DA, he doesn't know my name. When he introduces everyone, it's
What's he said?
it's always it's Elliot, it's Nick.
Jason.
Yeah, it's this
Justin.
other guy over here. When I do the panel with
But
like Cause
it's been
and
4 years now, and people still refer to you sometimes as Jason.
I get Jason a lot.
And I look at you, and
You just watch
you
me.
have that I'll never get rid of it.
Yeah, I just let it go. I respond to it now. It's like my alter
Jason
ego.
or Justin, whatever your name is.
To be fair, though, Jason Bourne is like an
It's a name.
incredibly
It's a
famous
international superstar name.
Yes.
So the first time the Bourne movies came out, I was sitting in a theater and it was
Yeah.
a preview for another movie. And the first thing you see in the preview is black screen, white print, full size, just Bourne. And I was like, oh my God.
Spelled the same.
It's an intervention. I thought I was on like the Truman Show or something. Like, what is
It
happening?
would have
right
been
now?
like,
Gabbo is coming.
if this is really popular, this isn't good for me.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how to feel about it, but yeah, it's people know how to spell my name now. It's nice.
Just quickly before we move on to some news and notes, I got to tell you, I offended the city of London.
Oh, are they upset?
Let me just read one. I got
Real hockey fan,
about
folks.
10 texts, but I'll just read the best one. Here we go. Do your tears salt the French cries after Owen Sound gets demolished?
Oh, French fries.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Well, listen, I was talking about how good the fries
That's
were.
clever.
So pretty good text.
Really good text.
I mean, the rest are just way ruder, and
Okay.
I can't read them. So
I think at some point, it's a little tight right now on scheduling, but next season,
Yeah.
the three of us are going to go out to a London Knights game, and
Yeah.
you're going to wear their jersey.
not for $1 million.
See, I call bull crap.
It would be fun to have the
And
slider on what the number would be. It's pretty low to get him. To
Can
do
I
it.
tell you that
He would go for 10 grand.
I would
10
sit
for sure.
I would sit on the glass at a Montreal Canadiens game wearing a Habs jersey, banging on the glass before I would wear a London Knights jersey. No question.
Really?
No question.
What?
The London Knights are an integral part of my hatred in my life. I've never liked Mitch Marner, who's got 90 points every year for the Leafs because he scored an overtime winner against the Attack once and did this big celebration to the crowd. I wanted to throw a battery at him.
No way.
It is the deepest seated hate.
And if you remember Bill Simmons, sports hate is not hate. Sports hate is
no.
real. It's important, but it's
Yeah.
different.
No, it's the
It's not
deepest
as-
seated. It's the deepest seated hatred for any team I have in my life is the London Knights. There you go. Anyways,
Sammy, you
Grow
need
up.
help.
yes.
You do. You need somebody to come and talk to.
You're the guy I talk to.
Oh, that's depressing.
I don't
Definitely.
want that.
That guy's your emotional outlet.
No, my poor wife, Allie.
Oh, there you go, Allie.
All right, Ovi, anything else you want to add on Ovi?
No, I want to talk about
Okay.
GMs that put out videos of their
All right.
teams.
Just a reminder, though, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. That part of the business is taken care of.
Yes, sir.
So now, as we know, in this world, nobody does anything without clipping it and putting it out there on social media.
Everything's content.
But there seems to be a bigger push these days for general managers, I think, because there's one in particular out there with Kevin Adams, which, I don't really understand why there's a sense of putting stuff out there in pressure-packed situations for them. And Don Sweeney also, the Boston Bruins, put one out there during the trade for Brad Marchand.
Yeah.
And when I think of all the entertaining and funny things out there on Instagram, these two things that I saw weren't even close.
It's dark, right? It's like, well, so
okay,
first,
so explain.
first off, the Sweeney one in the clip.
Oh my God.
He comes into the room and goes, it's no big deal. He's like, Kate, we traded Marchie. And one of the guys at the table just goes, Jesus.
Whoa, gonna like that one.
What have we done? He's like, it's a conditional second. You can just, feel the air sucked out of the room. And it's like, why would Boston put that out? Like, who is that anyway? And then the other one is Kevin Adams from Buffalo. When they're talking about trading Cousins, and they're just like, yeah, the doctor said he looked at his reports. He's not worried about his injury history. And everyone's like, okay. Like, no one speaks up.
This is Norris coming back, right?
This is Norris. Sorry,
Yes.
yeah, coming back
Yes.
for Cousins. And it's like, that's great that the doctor said he's not worried about his injury history, but he has a new injury every 3 weeks. And not one person was like, are we sure that this is good? And maybe it happened in real life, but the way the video is edited, you never have a sense that anyone's like, I don't know about Norris. Like, we don't get to see that side of it because they want to big up the guy who's coming in. But it doesn't make me feel very confident that no one in management is like, guys, hold on. Are we sure we want to trade Cousins?
Well, I mean, the famous one is the one that came out from Hard Knocks last year from the NFL when the Giants let Saquon Barkley go to the Eagles. And I forget the owner's name. It's going to bother me. Mara, maybe the Mara family. I think it's Mara's for the Giants. He's talking to Joe. I'm really testing my NFL now. Joe Sheehan, I think, is the general manager of the Knights.
John Mara, yeah.
Of the general manager of the Giants. And he's like, if he goes to the Giants, goes to the Eagles, I'm going to be really upset. That's not going to, like, he's just really against it happening. And then he goes to the Eagles.
And wins the Super Bowl.
Has 2,000 yards, had a chance to set the all-time record.
Jumped a guy backwards.
And he was maybe the most impactful free agent signing in the history of the NFL. And now you have this clip out there of them being like, you shouldn't do that. And in a clip world that just lives in it, I don't understand these behind-the-scene things at all. I'm totally with you guys.
To be clear, I love them, though. I get it. Is that the point?
I do get it, but like in a sick way.
They're uncomfortable.
Yes, totally.
Hey,
Well, also,
is
like,
that
they're
part of the
trading people's
entertainment?
lives.
Is that you feel as uncomfortable as they probably feel having it out there the rest of their lives?
I get, everything's reality TV, right? Like, that's what.
It doesn't have to be.
No, but it sells.
There
People
has to
watch
be.
it.
We need a little mystique.
I don't think people think
Because all
we
we're going to do is
whether
draw
you-
the curtains and see some short guy pulling strings like in Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what this is. It's like, I heard Adams, it's like a 6-minute video clip, and it's not new. It's been out for weeks.
Yeah.
But it just felt like at no point was anyone like disagree. Everyone was like, yep, I think we should do Cousins for Norris. I think we should.
I think that I'm not even sure. I think there's so many things going on in their lives. I'm not even sure they know that there's some
Piece
kid
of content out there.
some intern or a guy a year out of university putting this stuff out there. I don't.
That could be true, or they're not from the
it's
era,
just-
so they don't.
They
think
don't
about
know.
It like that.
They just don't know. Whoever's monitoring or watching it doesn't even have the experience to say this might not age well.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm
You're
if I'm a general manager right now and I see that stuff out there, like,
what are you doing?
I'm taking a sharp pencil and stabbing somebody in the heart.
Oh my
Okay,
Lord.
no, I'm telling you, like.
What's with the stabbings recently?
We've had a murderous show the last couple weeks.
I just don't like. You think back to the one last year, the Amazon one, where the McDavid thing, where he's sobbing. I'm like, I didn't need to see that. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people like the perverts and the freaks and the sickos out there that want to see that stuff, and I don't see the need to see the greatest generation.
Well,
I didn't need to see that.
but how about this? One that has people quite upset is Nylander in that Amazon
Yes.
show.
Yes.
He missed playoff games with migraines, and they got a camera crew in there, and he's eating Krispy Kreme. It's not a good look.
No.
Everyone you talk to who's had like real bad migraines are like, oh, shades drawn. I
Yeah.
couldn't get out of bed,
Yeah.
whatever.
So
And there's Leafs fan watching that going, wait.
We had a discussion last night where we're not even sure if the Leafs knew that the crew was in with Nylander.
Yeah, the team may not have known that they had that level of access. Or
Like,
something.
how does that happen?
I don't know.
This
Or maybe
is
they
the
did.
playoffs. Playoffs.
I know.
Do you remember the Dubas one with Kekalainen about the Foligno thing, where he like went back behind the scenes and he like had a conversation with him, and then he upped the price, and you get seen being kind of fleeced? Like, I just don't know who it's for. Because
Well,
I'm a
but
di-
hold on. We're talking about it because it's entertaining, and that's what this sport is, an entertainment product.
maybe it's not for me, but like I could not get through the Amazon series about the Leafs. Or like I watched the first one because we wanted to talk about it. It's not for me.
And it may be entertaining in the moment, but if the long-term effect is, you guys aren't as bright as I thought you were.
Right.
Like, you guys are kind of dumb. And
Like you based it off
you're-
vibes.
You're
huh?
supposed to be like one of the top managers or coaches or owners or whatever.
Yeah.
There's only 30 teams in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You should have to be really good at your jobs.
Yeah.
And now the behind the scenes kind of looking at me going, you guys are about as dumb as I am.
Well, a couple thoughts on
That's
that.
such a great point. Takes away the mystique.
It
one-
takes away the thought that you're like really supposed to be good at this.
But one
to hit this
is
level.
that, like a player, you almost have to be shown you have to perform or you're on the hook for it, which I don't know that that's so terrible that people are held accountable for their performance.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good thing. The other thing is that the person who's putting out the content, the social media manager, whoever it is who's doing that work, may not have enough understanding of hockey to understand what they're putting out. And that's a crucial component. They need to know.
There's so many people, so many departments, so many who can keep track in some of these organizations.
Because, like, having one doctor approve the Norris injury history, and he's injured 9 seconds after he's there, and I know it's a freak thing, but he has a lot of freak things.
But it may have not even been the true process.
You're right. There could have been 10 doctors.
There could have been 10. They could have cut the last one. It made me looks like it's only one, and it's like, just get it out, put it out.
We don't see him talking to the analytics department about this, that, and the other.
That presentation, that 30 seconds might not even be close to like the truth of what really happened.
Yeah.
But we don't know that as a viewer.
The other part is when they decide to trade Cousins, they're talking about, okay, we're trying to change the culture. You know, we're trying to, this is what Norris is culture guy, we're trying to change the culture. And it's like, what is it saying about Cousins? Like, are we now saying that, so Cousins a bad culture guy?
Yeah.
That's the point you're making about a player?
Yeah.
You know, so it does kind of like peel back a curtain in a way that you're
The other one was I don't know, HBO, Amazon, I don't know who did it, but the Leaf one where Kyle Dubas is in the office and they're kind of scared to look at the progress of Freddie Anderson.
Is he on the ice?
And it's like, you know, is he on the ice? I don't know.
On the ice?
Is he wearing his equipment? Is he not wearing his equipment? And I'm like, what is happening here? What is going on?
Yeah.
You guys are the managers. You're the coaches. Like, how do you not know?
Yeah.
No, it's, I don't know.
So we've been entertained. Maybe that's the point of it all.
Okay.
But I actually think, not to give the Leafs too much credit here, but I actually think the Leaf they do, they put out like a little Instagram video, which is state-controlled media, like propaganda 100%, but it's a minute. It's like a quick quote from Berube. They do quick quotes from a player that was involved in the game, a highlight, and then it's like the guys going, yeah, boys. It's like, that's good. Yeah. That's good access. But long, drawn-out things of guys that aren't supposed to be, like, in the eye
I feel like I've talked to myself. I'm on the other side of it now. Like, because I do. I now hear myself say that I do like having this information.
I don't know if you can go back.
We do not agree.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I kind of got my start writing the very first 24/7s that they did. I would pause my TV.
Those were so good, though.
Well, and they didn't have the board covered up. So I would pause the TV, take a picture of like what Babs had written because it was Detroit, Toronto.
Yep.
And I wrote a couple articles of like, here's what these abbreviation means. Here's what they're trying to do. And those did very well. And then now they're a lot more careful about showing the whiteboards.
Good one, Randy.
but I don't know if they're not getting the attention that they first got.
Yeah, it's saturated.
There's so many of them
they
now.
just do too many.
And there's like, people are just taking passes on it.
Yep.
Right?
I bet there's a lot of people listening to this being like, you guys are idiots. I love that access.
Yes, I do believe that there's still a market there for sure.
Yeah.
Did you guys, I wanted to mention this, Mikkola, Habs.
$5,000 fine for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Worth it. Well, you saw the play, huh?
Yeah, I saw it.
So if you didn't see it at home, game over. They lose 4-2. He takes a full ice length slap shot, which, like, even if you score, then it's 4-3. So you're just being a jerk, and he almost hits one of the D on the other team.
He went full Daniel Everton. He just didn't hit anybody this time.
Full length. Oh, we got the video. God, look at this. Mikkola, he's behind his net. 4 seconds. Game's over. Let's have some fun here.
I mean, listen, still time on the clock.
Savard.
I got to tell you, I think that's an absurd.
You guys want your captain to get out there and say something? Or I guess you got to stay on the bench.
Gallagher's great in this.
Gallagher's great there.
Right?
How do you find a guy $5,000 for that?
How do you not find him?
There's time left in the hockey game. He slap shotted the hockey puck with time left in the hockey game.
I think
it went
using common sense.
It went 180 feet. It's not like it was like 10 feet in front of him.
I think that, like, if I'm him, I'm rich, so whatever, $5,000, but like,
it's unsportsmanlike conduct, and I think his conduct was pretty unsportsmanlike.
I guess, but like, he shot the hockey puck in the hockey game with time left in the clock.
You're allowed to shoot the hockey puck.
Everything.
Oh, he's not even looking.
Yeah, he's not. The NHL.
That's not great for my argument.
The NHL. They're better off finding him $5,000 than not and taking the criticism that they didn't do anything at all. So I think they're covered. I think the NHL's covered. I think quietly they're happy that they're playing Tuesday. Yeah. When are they playing?
Oh, yeah. They play.
They play again.
Yeah.
When?
They play tomorrow.
play tomorrow.
Leafs get them on the
Come
second half of back-to-back.
That 2 seconds of shooting a puck 180 feet will make all of us watch the start of that game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's actually that's a pivotal hockey game for the East standings.
Awesome.
So, and Montreal totally reacted the way they should have. Florida gets to say that we're sore losers, and it's all good.
Yeah.
Now,
Go
if
ahead.
we can talk about losers,
Yeah.
the East.
Yeah.
Who can lose the most hockey games? The Islanders, the Red Wings, Columbus, the Rangers. Montreal got a big win yesterday. But boy, pretty bleak race.
Real poo-poo platter down there.
It is lean. Islanders have been given every opportunity. I don't think it's happening.
Colorado Avalanche signed a Makar,
They did.
a Taylor Makar, younger brother of Colorado star
Congratulations, Brett Gretzky.
Kale, to a 1-year deal.
That's mean.
He was
Famous guy's
He
brother.
was a 7th-round
Was it
pick
Brent?
in
Sorry.
2021, but
Hey, you had a
kind
pretty,
of tough, eh?
pretty good year at
You'll-
University of Maine.
Never be as close to your brother.
No, but he doesn't need to be. If he can be an NHL player.
For sure. Like, you got to give him the opportunity here.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Brent Gretzky play hockey for the Asheville Smoke in the UHL when I was
I
a
played
kid.
against
You made
Brent.
those words up.
No, I didn't. Asheville Smoke. Look it up.
Oh, yeah?
I think he scored
Smokeville Ash.
over 100 points with Windsor Spitfighters one year. He was the best centerman.
I
Pretty good
feel
pedigree
like
there.
Shaq. I know your game. I apologize for not being more familiar with,
That's
your,
okay.
with your game.
How do you, maybe it's a sensitive conversation, but how do you think Taylor Makar, I guess he's happy to get an NHL contract.
Yeah.
But like you're going to the team where your brother's like the best player in the world?
Well, I think it depends. If you're a super close family, probably means the world to
Yep,
him, and
yep.
maybe they'll give him a little extra. Like I had opportunities out of college, and I chose Islander camp in
Mhm.
hopes that I could leverage my name for an extra day at camp before they cut me. You
Fair
know,
enough,
like
fair enough.
so if he thinks it can help
Yeah.
him, great.
So, Blue Jays cut into our week a little bit, right?
So yeah, maybe we should let people know about our weird week. But yeah, we have a show today.
Yeah.
Show tomorrow.
Show tomorrow is
Oh yeah. So Kipper,
JB and the kid.
why don't you tell him?
Yeah,
Tell us.
I'm bailing on you guys. I've hit
This
my
is
wall.
Perfect time to.
I've hit my wall. I'm going south. I'm gonna go hit a golf ball,
Yeah.
I will say
Sounds
that.
cool.
and this is the perfect week to do it.
Oh, I mean the biggest game of the year.
That's
Back.
fine.
That's fine.
You'll be
They
fine.
play him again a week later.
Yeah, when I'm gone. So, but I will say, Kipper, you know, your attendance this year has been exemplary. Exemplary.
It works for me.
Exemplary.
I don't care if you screwed up the word.
No,
I
like,
get what you're saying.
You've been here a ton. I think all of we've had pretty good attendance. So you've
Yeah.
earned
It
it.
took a
buddy.
week for Disney, but
You've earned it. So you
I
got good,
appreciate that.
you've got big plans.
Nice to get his permission, eh?
Just warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll start the plane heading south and see where. I'll send you a postcard.
Have you been Have you been at the digital range? The old.
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's the
Have you?
swing
Uh,
feeling?
Swinging it?
Yeah, just to make sure that I don't pull a muscle.
So yeah. So just to fill everybody in, we are here tomorrow.
Yes.
Off Wednesday.
Off Wednesday.
Back Thursday. Off Friday. So 3 shows this week. 2 which is
Unless they get rained out in
on
New
Fri-
York on
on
Friday,
Friday.
in which case you might have another show.
Yeah. And it's gonna be me and Borny.
Yay.
Our thanks to Andy Strickland, co-host of Cam and Strick. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Oh, yeah, I know you will.
I may not come back. I'm not sure. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you get a chance, give us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. Have a great night, everybody.